What is going on, guys? I'm Director Nat, back for a review, and today we're going to be talking about Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. So I just got back from an early bird showing of the movie, and I haven't really watched any of the trailers in full, and I didn't read a lot of people's reviews or first impressions, so thankfully I was able to go into this movie pretty much blind and able to form my own opinion on it. And I gotta admit, I was a little excited for this because I did really enjoy Jordan Peele's first two horror movies. Get Out made a good first impression on me with its really intriguing premise and Jordan Peele's unique style of horror, and Us had an extremely scary premise, and I thought that most of that movie was executed really well. However, that movie did have a few problems, especially in the third act as the plot got bigger and bigger, and I felt that they revealed a little too much about what was going on that took away some of the tension. And I'm sorry to say that some of those problems carried over into this movie and were amplified a bit, because as much as I enjoyed quite a bit of this movie as a whole, Nope is very messy. Now, I thought the opening sequences were absolutely fantastic. They were shot incredibly well and had a lot of tension and mystery that made you very eager to learn more about what was going on. But as the movie kept going, it wasn't really able to fully live up to the hype that it had promised. And by the end, you realize that some of the footage they included really had no bearing on the plot whatsoever. But getting back to some of the good stuff, when this movie is actually a horror movie, it's really, really good. The visuals are absolutely stunning, especially the nighttime sequences, which are filmed incredibly well. Daniel Kaluuya's eyes really pop out against the darkness all around him, which is a great visual for some of those tense moments. There's also some surprisingly great sound design, like during a few of the abduction scenes, the way they amplify certain noises and blend them together with other noises to create an atmosphere is just really, really impressive. And note that I said when it's actually a horror movie, because I feel one of the things that holds the movie back is that it tries to blend in too many elements that kind of take away from the horror aspect. Like, I can understand that Jordan Peele wanted to include a lot of absurd and whimsical elements, and those things do help the movie to feel very unique. But for a lot of the movie, especially in the second half, when you try to blend these elements together, they either don't work very well or they take away from something else. Like, whenever there's comedy in this movie, it really just doesn't work for me because I honestly don't think it's very funny, and it only succeeds in deflating the tension of the horror that we're supposed to be experiencing. And not getting into spoilers yet, but to me, by the third act, the movie had kind of become a jumbled mess and didn't even really feel like a horror movie anymore. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is the movie really called Nope because of those moments where the characters go like nope in a comical fashion whenever they don't want to deal with the horror elements on screen? Like, really? And speaking of comedy that deflates the tension, I cannot stand Keke Palmer's character in this movie. I thought that she might grow on me over time as we learned more about her and she adapted the situation, but no, she pretty much stayed annoying the entire time. She and Daniel Kaluuya make a really interesting pair because a lot of the times she will be overacting and he will be underacting, and that meshes together about as well as you'd expect. A lot of the other ensemble characters suffer from similar problems, ranging from being annoying, unlikable, or just kind of dumb. But I did really like the big threat of the movie, and this is kind of where I have to start going into spoilers in order to fully talk about what I mean. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to be spoiled, then go ahead and skip to this point in the video. So yeah, like I said, I really like the monster as we eventually learn it is in the movie. I kind of like the Jaws effect that they use for it. You don't see it all that often, just kind of zipping between the clouds silently, so you're wondering where it is and where it's going to strike next. And I do really like the gradual reveal of what it actually is, and that it's a much bigger threat than they realize. Like, it's not just aliens that are abducting horses, they are it's actually eating whatever it takes up there. And so when it actually gets to the scene where it abducts that entire crowd of people, and you basically realize for the rest of the movie that all those screams you hear are people being digested alive inside, and that's pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie. Of course, it also kind of makes you feel morbid for wanting to laugh when you realize that it's basically vomiting up anything that it wasn't able to digest, but whatever. But like I've said, once we get to the third act, the creature is one of the elements that suffers from the movie kind of becoming a jumbled mess. Like, at the end of the movie, finally seeing the creature in broad daylight kind of takes away the tension because you realize how cheap it kind of looks. And once it finally expands into its full form, I just could not take the movie seriously anymore. It just looks like a giant hot air balloon that's ripped in certain places, and when it starts eating people and things, it's not even scary at that point. The wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men were honestly more intimidating. But we're not done yet, because that last scene with Keke Palmer's character was so stupid. She just pulls this plan to kill the monster out of nowhere and then is able to get the snapshot herself. That makes me wonder why they weren't thinking of ways to actually kill this thing from the beginning, since they probably would have come up with that plan a lot sooner. And I know that they said the monster can't digest certain things, but being blown up by a balloon that pops inside of it, like, really? But if they had come up with that plan sooner, they also would have realized that there was no need to hire this expensive photographer who just gets himself killed for some reason. Not that the cheap photo she took is likely to convince any skeptics, especially now that the monster is gone, but I don't know, maybe they could find its remains or something, which at that point, why do you even still need a picture? So yeah, while there is a lot of good stuff here, overall I feel that this is the weakest of Jordan Peele's horror movies. Don't get me wrong, it still has all of those elements from his first two movies that I really like. The incredibly interesting premise with the characters thrown right into it, the fantastic nighttime cinematography that has so much tension, and all of those whimsically absurd elements that make the movie feel outrageous and unique. But a good chunk of the script and the overall execution is very messy, especially in the third act, and the movie seems to have trouble deciding what exactly it wants to be. And to me, the characters just aren't interesting enough on their own to make up for these problems. So while I absolutely enjoyed parts of this movie, and I do want to see more from Jordan Peele, if someone were to ask me if I recommend this movie, I would have to say no. But anyway, now I want to hear from you guys. Have you had a chance to see Nope yet? And if so, what did you think of it? Do you agree with my take on it, or did you enjoy this movie a little more than I did? Whatever it is, feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments and let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss when I upload a new review. And if you'd like to see me go into movies in more detail, I do have a second channel called The Media Monologue where I do full-length essay videos. A very big thank you as well to all of my patrons, especially my fellow directors. You guys are amazing and I greatly appreciate your support. And if you become a patron, you can get your name or channel name listed at the end of every video, get access to patron exclusive posts that I make, and get early access to my reactions and some videos that I do on the Media Monologue. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for the next review.